I'd like to start this module with a question. Am I welcoming my partner into my world? The starting point for deepening your friendship and transforming arguments into intimacy and creating that meaningful life is to welcome each other into your individual worlds. Getting this right makes it easier to forgive, easier to accept your partner's efforts at kissing and making up when things go wrong. It's the foundation for everything. And how do we do it? We do it by asking questions, listening well, and remembering what our partners say, what's important to them in their lives. So we ask open questions. Now, what makes an open question different from every other question? Well, they're the ones that bring you closer together. They're the questions that require an answer that's not just a simple yes or a no or a list of items, but they're questions that go deeper. So you may ask, what did you buy in town today? And the answer would be a fairly predictable list of things. But if you asked, what inspired you to buy that? Then that would open a question that would help you explore your partner's thoughts and experiences and ideas, their inner world. Successful couples also practice meaningful listening skills. Now that means they tend not to interrupt, unless of course that interruption helps their partner to say more. So you might want to say, wow, don't skip over that bit. It sounds interesting, tell me more. Listening without interruption is a very rare skill, and you'll notice this next time you're talking and you find yourself being interrupted, or when you're listening and you're tempted to jump in when somebody else is speaking. But successful couples also remember what they hear. Now, if your memory is as poor as mine, then writing down the answers is really going to help. And that's one of the reasons I created this section of the Love Guide. So you can jot your answers down. I'm going to encourage you as you ask and answer questions to be honest. Not brutally honest, but gently honest with one another, and allow yourself to be vulnerable, because you'll never know how loving and accepting your partner can be until you're really able to be open in that way. So the questions coming up are just a real starting point. You can add your own. In fact, you should really add your own, because these really just scratch the surface of the myriad things you can know about each other. So I'm going to pause after each question, and you can just press pause on your video as well as you discover more about each other. Now, if asking open questions is something you already do a lot of, then take the opportunity to really go deeper, to ask more, to ask the who, how, what, why, and when questions, or maybe just ask, tell me more. If you're not used to asking these questions, they can seem quite intrusive to start with, so maybe just pause and come back to it later. Just ask a few questions at a time. I hope that this will become a habit. Being curious about your partner's world will just become so much second nature that you won't even remember where you got the idea from. So listen with open ears and an open heart, and discover what your partner wants to talk about. Show empathy. If they don't want to talk about something, then just hold on for a minute and maybe go back to it at another time. Also, try not to give each other advice, and don't silver line one another's problems. Just being there, holding that space for them, is going to be enough. If you really want to connect, then as you're listening, find something within yourself that knows that feeling that they're trying to describe. And if you don't know what to say, just say, I don't know what to say. Love is courage, and daring to be there for one another when there are no answers, when there are no guarantees. That is vulnerability, and vulnerability will bring us closer to one another. When we love, we do risk emotional exposure. It's not easy, it's not safe, but it can be so much simpler than we often make it, as we try to figure everything out and protect ourselves emotionally, instead of reaching out to create stronger relationships. Your world is as different from your partner's as going to an exotic foreign land. Think of it like that. Have curiosity, ask questions so that you understand more. See your partner as a fascinating person with a fascinating past, fascinating ideas, fascinating experiences. So here's question 1. Tell me about your earliest memory. What were the most exciting times in your childhood? What were the unhappy times or the challenges you faced growing up? Who were your friends? Tell me about them. Who were your role models? As a child, what did you want to be when you grew up? Why? What's your most embarrassing early memory? What have been the greatest adventures in your life so far? What have been your most frightening experiences? What have you done that's been dangerous or exciting? What are the most important things you've learnt in your life so far? What's the most creative thing you've ever done or made? What are you most proud of in your life? What was it like growing up in your family? What were your parents like? What was it like being a teenager? How did other people in your family show you that they loved you? Did you feel loved? How did they show you when they were proud of you? Tell me about some of those times. How did your family express emotions like happiness, affection, enthusiasm? How did they show anger and sadness and disappointment? Were there any emotions that weren't okay in your family? Were there things that were not all right to express? What were they? How has that affected you as an adult? Where have you been in your life? Where have you travelled? Where's your favourite place in the world? What have you overcome in your life? And what have you learned from your past? How do you think you've really changed since you were a child? What other things happened in your early life that you'd like me to know more about? So let's now talk about things that are important today. What do you most want people to know about you? What do you love and what do you hate about your job or about what you do now? Why do you do what you do? What do you love to do when you don't have to do anything? What makes you feel strong? What are the things that make you feel weak? What are the biggest challenges in your life right now? Who are your most trusted friends? And who would you really like to be better friends with? Who from your past would you like to have back in your life today? Why? What kind of surprises do you love? What makes you feel free? What things inspire you? Who in your life has inspired you? What else is really important to you in your life right now? And what about the things that are important in our relationship? What was the first thing that you found attractive about me? Tell me how you knew that I was the one for you. What strengths do you feel that I bring to our relationship? What strengths do you bring to our relationship? How can I help you to be your very best self? How can I help you to fulfill your dreams, to follow your dreams? If we could go anywhere in the world together, where would we go? Are there any things that we used to do that you now miss? What's one way that you and I could be a better couple? What really excites you about our future together? So, thank you for joining me. I really want you to have more love in your life. Let me know how you get on with these questions and with the whole module. And tell me how else I can help you to create that lifetime of love that you really long for.